Hey everyone, happy holidays and welcome back to another edition of Power Tips. This is one of our favorite episodes that we do every year to do a quick look back at some of the favorite announcements we talked about, some things that have changed, and other new things in the ecosystem that we want to talk about. So let's jump right in and see what Heidi has prepared for us.
Okay, so what I did was I took a look back at all of our Power Tips episodes that we did in 2025, and we're going to do an end of the year recap. So, first of all, we like to point out the rebrands. There's probably more than this, but these are like top of mind for the three of us. So, recent one, Copilot for Sales turned into Sales in Microsoft 365 Copilot, which I'm sure will confuse nobody. And likewise, Copilot for Customer Service is now Customer Service in Microsoft 365 Copilot. And I also believe all Dataverse AI columns were renamed as prompt columns. Those are the three that I found. Anything else that you guys know of?
The
Or are we
logo
good on our
rebrand too.
rebrands?
The logos
Was?
were all refreshed, but that's not really a rebrand. But I guess it kind of is. But they put in all some new fancy logos. So if you haven't noticed
They
that, there's some nice ones.
all
I'll
new
give 'em that.
logos.
Yeah.
I hope none of you got the old one tattooed on your bodies. Okay, let's talk about Dynamics for Sales. And just like last year, which I'm sure all of you watched, we are featuring our pets in these slides because they're our fur babies and we like it. So Dynamics for Sales had a lot of change, had a lot of development. And these are all of the things that we talked about. So the big ones are the agents, the sales qualification agent, and within that agent being introduced early in 2025, the second half of 2025, the current release notes have improvements to that agent. So all of that's in here. Integrate with Exchange using server-side sync, accelerate data entry using Form Fill Assist, Smart Pace, natural language stuff, all kinds of cool things. Oh, and the sales qualification agent, the pipeline stuff, the research, and the sales efficiency with email validation. So most of the things were around agents inside of that first party app, and we did see a couple other cool things. Any thoughts on our Dynamics for Sales, which was my entry point into CRM?
But this is now sales in Dynamics 365, right? So that's one of our rebrands, right? Or
Is it?
isn't it?
Ugh.
So
Well,
then,
the Copilot,
I
the
don't
Copilot
know.
part, the Copilot for Sales.
oh, I'm getting all my things confused.
Yeah, that was.
I'm sure you're not
rebranded.
the only one.
This is a
But-
concern.
But that I think the fact that that confusion comes up is a point in and of itself, right? That
Yeah.
it's just so hard to keep up with all the lingo and language and all that stuff.
For sure.
What I've noticed, and I've tried to step back a little bit and like, what did we hear early in the year is the focus, or not even early in the year, just throughout the year. So the frontier firm and all that stuff. And when you look back even at keynotes from last year, they were talking a lot about agents and how we're currently seeing humans getting support with agents, and eventually we're going to see humans and agents kind of working more closely together, like 50-50. And then the future is humans are going to be overseeing a bunch of agents as their team, less about collaborating with people and more about collaborating with agents. And when you see what they're pushing, you can see them working toward that vision, which I think is kind of cool. I think I'm not sure I'm totally bought into it, but it's pretty interesting to see that's where they're pushing, right? So
Yeah. So let's take another look at a first party app, and I will remind you that we've reused Malcolm's beautiful slide in all of the first party apps, asking where dem features at for all of them. So Dynamics for Customer Service, also agentic first things. We have the case management agent, the customer knowledge management agent, surveys agent, and then all Copilot features. And that's all we got in Dynamics for Customer Service. That said, I have personally used all of these agents and they're amazing. They're awesome. I'm a huge fan of how they have automated a lot of the previously tedious and manual work inside of the customer service app, but not much innovation for people that are not using AI in Dynamics for customer service.
And the survey agent, that's what's going to end up replacing customer voice. Is that correct?
Correct. That is the current guidance from Microsoft that you should not be using customer voice. There is no innovation happening there. It should be the survey agent.
Interesting. There hasn't been innovation
Interesting.
in customer
Really
voice in a
different
while.
pricing model.
Cool. Next.
Okay. And I think where most of our innovation ended up in the customer service realm was in the contact center. So again, these are agents, the customer intent agent that is going to resolve issues on its own. It can automate voice calls and then updating your knowledge base. So taking a customer knowledge management agent a little step further. And then little things like the timer wrap up moved from 2 seconds versus just minutes, which is nice. And then these last three we talked about early in 2025, but they actually got pushed out to improve. The preview NGA dates are not until later in 2026. So block capacity, use enhanced real-time translation, which I think we were really psyched about, and select representative automatically to consult in a queue. I think that's on contact center stuff we reviewed.
That cat's face is pretty much how my face looked for the first 75% of the year when anyone talked about anything to do with customer contact center.
I
Because
still
I just
feel like
haven't-
that.
Yeah.
What is the difference between contact center and customer service? Unclear. Can't I still use these same agents in customer service?
Yes, with premium.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, that's another conversation which I think we should have because I feel like it's becoming more clear to me where it is. If you're using Dynamics customer service, Microsoft friends tell me if I'm wrong. If you're using Dynamics for customer service and the premium licensing, that is contact center. Now, you can also have a different CRM system or a different call center system and still get all the benefits of it, and that's contact center on its own. At least that's my understanding and how I am currently implementing it.
Might
let's
as well.
hope I'm
There's
right.
some interesting videos out there too
Oh,
that
sorry.
show the minimal differences between them. One of them was that if you're dealing with a chat, if you're dealing with Dynamics 365 already and you're using Contact Center, you can create a case because it's attached to a case management system. If you're not, you don't have that capability. You can simply see a summary or something. It was something to that effect. So that was. But that was otherwise the only difference. Like it was literally, it was a good video. I wish I remember who did it. I can't. But it was like, here's what it looks like here. Here's what it looks like here. They're virtually identical up until you get to the end of that chat. And the only difference was this little subtle thing in the bottom. The button said create case or it said get summary or something like that. So otherwise they were exactly the same. It's interesting.
But those would have both been contact center, right? One contact
Nope.
center with Dynamics and one contact center with another tool.
One was not contact center and one was
okay.
just contact center. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep going now, Happy.
Switching to the marketing app, which I still call marketing, Dynamics for customer insights journeys. All AI and Copilot here as well. We covered a lot of things. This one did have a couple changes that will help anyone, whether or not you're using Copilot and AI. I like the quiet times based on location and time zones, pause and resume journeys if there's an emergency event or something you wanted to just stop everything. Maximize event capacity with waitlist registration. I think that's been helpful with people that have waitlist and event management stuff. The portals, so the capability to use Power Pages and spin up a portal real fast to collect information there. And then also the ability to have an event portal on your own website using a new events API that was released. Thoughts on the marketing goodies?
Just reminds me of, this is such a departure from this for a second, so bear with my train of thought. This all reminds me of to-do and task management applications. There's like a bazillion on the market, and none of them seem to do exactly what I want them to do, to fit exactly the way I want to do my work. And I feel like the marketing applications out there are the same. Like there's so many different tools out there, and I hear from people all the time like, oh, we want to move from this one to that one because it has this single feature that the other one doesn't have. But otherwise, this other tool does everything else I want, and vice versa. And so I'm glad that they're layering in more. I just hope that they continue to do so because it has a good foundation for what it can do, but it seems like every time I talk to somebody who uses customer insight journeys, they're like, yeah, it's okay. But I don't know that I often hear people say that they like emphatically love it, which is interesting to me.
I'm curious to see this transform outreach with Copilot powered voice conversations. That sounds creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like something I wouldn't trust right away
Yeah.
if I
What-
were
What's
rolling
interesting
this
though,
out.
it's funny that you brought that up because I just had this conversation a couple weeks ago. I had an issue with my credit card that I couldn't add it to something on my phone. And so I called, and it was a voice agent who acknowledged right out of the gate, "Hi, I'm your virtual assistant voice person," but it was a human sounding. Had they not introduced it, it would have taken me probably the better part of a minute to realize that I was talking to a machine and not a human, because it was that clear and
But
everything.
that's
So
customer service and
yeah,
this is
agreed. Yeah.
marketing and outbound. So this is like, hi, I saw that you were on our website. Did you have any questions about XYZ? That's
Yeah,
different.
fair, but I do think part of that is the realistic nature of the
For sure,
interaction.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's cool. All right, customer insights data side. Not a ton of stuff that actually rolled out this year. We talked about more things, but only 2 things made it. Increased control when attaching data in Dataverse and filter rows from source data. The other 3 were moved over to 2026, and I believe we'll see some graveyard items in the end. Thoughts on the data side?
When did the merging of these products happen to have our customer insights data and journeys? Maybe end of 2024? So are we still like seeing, I'm trying to think about the features. There's not a lot of features here, right? And so are we still seeing advantages of those products being together? Or why did they put them together and we're not investing in data? You know, those are the kind of questions that are coming to my mind.
I've never understood why they bundled these products together. It makes no sense to me at all.
I think it makes sense in the building of your marketing list if you can use all your data in data, but that shouldn't be the only thing, right?
And the building of the customer profile, which is heavily marketing
360.
focused. I get that, but again, you've picked a perfect cat image for this, because my face often is like, yeah, data. Sure, let's talk about that.
Thank you for appreciating the selection of animals.
Yeah, perfect pick.
Appreciate that. All right, we're going to move to the power side. So Power Apps, lots of stuff in Power Apps, and it's not agentic first, and it's not AI. I don't want to read through all of these, but is there anything in particular that impressed you on all of the features and updates that rolled out in Power Apps this year?
Smart Paste for the win. I love that feature. It's
Smart
so
Paste
cool.
is awesome.
Yeah, it's a really cool function. Yeah.
I like this, the filtering your views with natural language. Like, it's actually works and kind of just rolled out without issue. And it's interesting because I think I was involved in like a private preview for that way back in 2019, like before any of the AI stuff. So it's just really interesting to see how that changed, how that kind of started then, went away, came back, changed, and now to see it actually like out in production is really cool.
Nice. Yeah, lots of cool innovation there. Then we're on the Power Automate side. There were some nice changes in Power Automate, but I'm kind of underwhelmed by what rolled out compared to what we got last year. Last year was huge for Power Automate. It was all in on enhancements to Power Automate. And I am curious if Copilot Studio got more of that than Power Automate this year. But we had some cool things that came out. Do you guys have any thoughts on the Power Automate stuff from 2025?
I don't.
Did that flow description with AI, did that roll out?
I think so.
Oh,
Some of
remember
these are just
seeing
in
that.
preview. Some
Yeah,
of
I
these are just
remember-
in preview. These are not all GA.
Yeah.
I should say, I don't have a lot. I haven't dealt a lot with Power Automate other than basic flows for this year, just changes in kind of what I'm doing. But the quantify savings, I know we covered that. You did a bit of a live demo on that one. that
Mhm.
one's super appealing, and I think we got some traction too when you posted that video. There was a few people commenting on that, just being like, "Hey, I didn't
Yeah.
even know that was a thing," or "That's a really powerful feature." And I get it because ROI, that's a term. I mean, we always hear the term ROI, but I've been hearing it a lot in our companies. Like, we need to justify the ROI
Hmm.
behind using some of these tools, so that kind of innovation is really powerful for that kind of stuff.
Yep. Totally agree. Power Pages, to be fair, when I went back, we only talked about Power Pages in one of the release waves, not both. So sorry, Power Pages. But we did have some changes here. Look, Indy's happy about the changes that came out in Power Pages. I love this picture, by the way. I think the Monitor Hub, which we looked at, could be interesting, the governance stuff. And I know we recently talked about the security agent rolling out. So what do you guys think about the Power Pages stuff we saw?
Yeah, I think
I'm speechless.
this big focus on security makes sense and is much needed.
Yeah.
So, interesting to see how those work when they're fully GA. I think the scan is GA, but the security agent not yet.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Sounds good.
all right. And we are winding down to the last few before we get to our favorite, which is the great site. We've got Copilot Studio. So a lot of things came out in Copilot Studio. I think a lot of things we talked about were new knowledge sources. So we had, let's see, we had WhatsApp, Teams chat, Azure AI search, and Dataverse added as knowledge sources that you can just pull and connect in Copilot Studio for your agents, which is really cool. There's a lot more. Those are just the ones that we highlighted. And I do want to point out that the SharePoint one didn't happen yet. So it didn't have the checkbox. It said May and it's still not here. So I don't know what's going on with SharePoint, but lots of cool things in Copilot Studio. Anything jump out at you guys?
Did Viva Engage get? I know that was it was being discussed. I don't even know if it was a preview thing. I don't even know if it was announced as coming, other than like speculatively it's coming, but I don't even know that it made it onto the plan. Or maybe it's already baked in. But that's a big one. I see organizations use Viva Engage a fair bit to have that internal community sense and build stuff, especially remote organizations. And so having that for a studio agent I think would be really powerful. I was excited when that came up, but I should do some more research and see where exactly that is. It might even be a production GA feature now.
Cool. And then these are the other things we talked about that aren't in anything else. So we did start out the year by talking about some of the Microsoft 365 agents, I think because they were announced in January and we were like, whoa, these are cool. So this is not in the Dynamics or Power Platform space at all. I think these are like SharePoint and different Microsoft 365 apps. We talked about the Project Manager agent and the Interpreter agent. I remember that one. That one was in Teams. We were really excited about that. We did a deep dive on AI prompts. Thank you, Kylie. We did talk about the Dataverse. There were just a couple things. So those are all here. We talked about frontier firms, like Malcolm mentioned earlier. And most recently, we walked through how to vibe code Power Apps. So we covered a lot of topics in 2025. Like a lot. And of course, we attended fabulous conferences. We got to do Power Tips Live twice, which is really cool. So at Dynamics Con and at Summit, that was very fun. I didn't go to Power Platform, but I think, did Kylie, did you go? No, none of us went. I should take that logo off here. Maybe next year. But conferences are always fun. It's cool to see people live in person and share some tips and hear what everyone else has to think about. And here's the graveyard. These are features that we talked about that disappeared from the release notes. Now, I don't know if that means we are no longer getting this feature. I don't know if that means they went in live, but I haven't seen some of these things. So I think it would be interesting to look at these. Dynamics for Sales, provide your own tone of voice across all email communications. Completely gone. Get leads from service interactions. I thought this was cool. So things that are happening in customer service would then create automatic leads. And that's not there. Get embedded experience for Copilot summaries. It disappeared from release notes, but that might be there. I don't know. Customer service, view customer sentiment on email. In the customer insights world, we lost.
Yeah, me too.
I know, me too. I was excited about that. Something so nice about that little smiley face or the frown. or the neutral face. In customer insights, set up and execute pre and post event communications and target the right audience based on signals from earlier campaigns. In Power Automate, we use a simplified OData editor and actions like get items and get files. It's probably there. Create a flow on a file in Teams. That always was weird to me that was on the release notes. Seemed like it was just a connector action. And build desktop flows with Record with Copilot. That one is actually listed in deprecated items in Power Automate, even though it was only ever in preview. But it's deprecated.
That's funny.
Interesting, because they did a lot of promotion around that.
No. I wonder if it just really didn't work. There's more to that story.
So on that note, have either of you had luck? I know that at some point in time, and this wouldn't have been in our stuff because it was more of a Teams thing, but Copilot, when you record, it used to just the summaries and the AI kind of details would come from the verbal context of the transcript. And they were talking about it could then also analyze data it was seeing on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Did it ever do that? Pardon me. I don't know if it ever actually started to do that because I remember trying it in meetings and somebody would be sharing a spreadsheet and I'd be like, hey, can you total up the information you're seeing or something like that? And I don't think I ever had success. I know Copilot, if you're doing a session on your phone, it now has camera capability to be like, hey, what am I looking at? And it's fascinating. But I don't know that it ever did it in meetings, which is interesting because it's kind of the same concept as build flows with you do the thing on screen and it can kind of interpret what it's seeing and translate that into a flow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That would be cool if it was there. But
It
I
would
don't
be.
think it is.
I agree.
Power Apps, there's just a couple specific things, but Power Pages, the last one there is kind of interesting. Recommend Power Pages license capacity allocation in the Power Platform Advisor. So I opened up the Power Platform Advisor and I was kind of poking around. The advisor is there. I mean, we all probably use it, but Power Pages isn't there. So I don't know what happened to that one. It sounded too good to be true. How could we estimate licenses needed in Power Pages? Nobody knows what the answer is there. And that's all I've got. What do you guys think?
It's always amazing to me that stuff just disappears. And for some of these things, I kind of get why. Some of them I think just get embedded, like the customer insights set up and execute pre and post event communications. That was a neat thing, but I feel like organizations who are doing events are already probably doing that work and don't need to do it there. It's something that already happens. And I don't know that speaking of ROI, I don't know the ROI would be realized by doing it in the application versus just their normal marketing tool. That's a marketing function, right? So I don't know. That kind of stuff doesn't really surprise me, but some of the ones that just wholly disappear with zero trace is always fascinating to me.
Especially the ones that seem like features we've been asking for, even the testing the Power Apps securely, right? Like what does that mean? Did we still get some of the test automation and we're just not getting this particular feature, or what's happening here? Goes back to your question of did it just get rolled out and they removed it from the release notes?
They might have. So one final question before we wrap up. I'm putting you both on the spot. Out of everything that we talked about this year on Power Tips, or that we didn't, that you just saw roll out in Dynamics or Power Platform, what do you think was the biggest impact feature that we saw this year?
Oh, go ahead, Kylie.
I know, it's a hard question.
What I feel like this year is a blur. And I think last year we were talking about a lot of this Copilot stuff and we weren't sure what of it was going to be real. And I think now we're at a point that we've seen some of it actually be real, right? So the M365 Copilot is actually doing things. Is it generating a magical PowerPoint like we thought? Probably not. But we're actually able to have conversations and have it get information from documents within our organization and all of that, which is really cool. And then we're now starting to see how we can actually use it within Dynamics and the integration with Teams. And so I think I don't know if that's the most impactful, but it's been really interesting to see as we figure out how that's actually going to work and how we can bring that into our business process. And something, I've been working on right now is figuring out how can we customize that and what are the changes that we can make and how we can expand on Copilot, which is, I think, where we'll see a lot of growth in 2026.
Yeah, I think the agent stuff is probably what I've seen has the most potential to be impactful. I don't know that it is the most impactful thing yet, but I think organizations, you guys both referenced some agent related benefits you've already experienced, right? And I think that's the key. But I think there's a lot of organizations out there that are still like, we don't know where to even begin to start to think about how to maximize these agents and need support around understanding what they do, how they work, how they can benefit you, and most importantly, how they help organizations work toward their organizational objectives, right? It's one thing to see a cool feature and be like, oh, that's really neat, but how does that tie into what you're actually trying to accomplish as an organization? What needle is it moving forward in that sort of broad scope of like, as an organization, we aspire to do these strategical things. Strategical? That's a word. It is now. Strategic things. And these features have to tie to that somehow. And if they don't, I think that's that like concept of the big shiny object. Like, yeah, that's really cool, but if it doesn't actually help you do something that helps move those needles forward, then don't waste your time. So I think that's where agents, I tie that back to agents. I think organizations are like, it sounds neat, but I don't know what to do with it and how to use it. So I think there's lots of potential there. How about you, Heidi?
Agents, 100%. I think they're an interesting tech. Will they be disruptive or will they be helpful? We'll see.
Well, that brings us to a wrap for 2025. It's hard to imagine. I saw a meeting hit my calendar like a month ago for 2026, sometime in January, and I just about fell out of my chair because this year feels like it's been a blur. Exactly what Kylie said. It just sped by. I think we say this every year, right? Time just flies by. But we are super excited to come back at you next year and bring with us a whole new suite of changes. And we're super excited to see what Microsoft has in store for all of these applications. And we will be here every so often. I was going to say every week. I think we do it every other week. But
every other week?
Yeah, every other week. And we look forward to bringing you our insight into what the features are that are coming and hopefully pointing you in the right direction so you know what's coming up and how to be prepared for it. So we look forward to seeing you next year, and we hope you have a wonderful holiday. Thanks, everybody.